Alright, all you night driving racers out there, welcome back to Under the Radar. And this week's Stunts of the Week comes from none other than Inertial Drift with their screenshot from the video game Inertial Drift. And of course from none other than Netflix movies with their stunt, 007 Blood and Tears Act 3 teaser trailer. Now the reason why in the world we picked the first stunt, well, anybody who can have enough time to turn their lights on and spin 180 style before going back into the race definitely deserves some credit for the stunt they were able to pull off. And the second stunt, the reason why we picked that one, well, anybody who can take a wrench to the face like that and stay in character for that teaser trailer, even though the movie got delayed by 3 weeks, is definitely worth some credit as well. And speaking of people who deserve us a little credit, folks, I think it's time for us to get ready to rev our engines and see who was the best of the best for this year of the fist and the first month of this new decade, as we get ready to go into yet another edition of the GTA Online Top 5 Tracks of the Month. And the first track that we have up comes from the creator Benno AFU with his said track hashtag AFU 55 Degree Adrenaline Rush 2. And the reason why in the world we decided to pick this sequel-like race of insanity, well, not only because of the crazy 55 degree angles, but the fact that it has no barricades on its snake-like track as you make your way straight down to the bottom of the track, which is absolutely insane, and I love it. And for those out there who wants to give this track a try, unless you're a professional drifter, I recommend slowing down when you're making your way down this hill, or else you will fall off and it will cost you during this race. And the next track that we have up comes from the creator Family 1974 with their said track 2 Mile Lap Destroy. And for those out there wondering, yes, this track was involved in Indie Awards past. Yes, this guy almost got Creator of the Year at one point. And despite all of that, folks, he made this track even more dangerous than we've last remembered. And the only tip of advice we have for you adrenaline junkies out there looking to soar through the skies and get first place in this track, you gotta be careful of what's coming up along with you. Cause if your opponent is flying through the air at the same time as you, and you're just coming down, let's just say there's a high possibility for a little bit of mid-air collision that will cost you during this race. So be careful while you're flying through the friendly skies. And oh, before we forget, you get a chance to do this with every single vehicle imaginable on the board, with the exception of the special vehicles that has weapons on them. And another warning, be careful with motorcycles, because that will get you killed. And the next track that we have up, speaking of getting killed during a race, comes from the creator Odin 20008 with their said track hashtag Stunt 90 Degree Race. And the reason why in the world we decided to pick this crazy race, well, the fact that you get the dive bomb directly down the track in a 90-degree angle with little to no control as you make your way down, it's the fact that he was able to pull this off and even give you a little bit of high step-up like jumps, like if you were at the X Games, which is insane. And the only tip of advice we have for you fans out there is to make sure you pick a car that's fast enough to make it up those giant oversized jumps that you have to make it up past the 90-degree angle part of this race. And oh, also make sure you have a car with good handling too for that part, because if you don't, you will fly off the track. And if you want a prime example, me, because it happened to me twice. And the next track that we have up that made it to this elite track of the month list comes from the creator Rui23 Try GTA with their track Zero Gravity. Now, I got a feeling the Strobes are out there singing Boogie in Zero Gravity to this track, and the reason why in the world it made it in for the tracks of the month for this month, folks, not only because it gives you a chance to climb up Mount Chiliad the hard way, or the easy way in this case, but the fact that it gives you a chance if you knock your opponent hard enough on the top of that mountain while making your way down to fly through the friendly skies and get knocked out of this race completely. Yeah, there's also the possibility of you going into the drink with no barricades either. So the only tip of advice we have for you supercar adrenaline junkies out there who wants to give this map a swing is be careful of your opponent, especially when you're heading downhill and uphill. Because one slipstream, one fishtail, or any form of maneuver that people would use to try to take you out during a race will definitely take you out during this very race. And it will make it very hard to recover depending on how many people you have on this said track. So be careful and drive safe. Or drive dangerous. You know, we should say that more often. And the last but not least track to make it in for the tracks of the month and a possible Indie Award contender comes from none other than Moini16 with their said track, Vertical Insanity number 2. And the reason why in the world this crazy, and I do mean crazy, race made it in for this week, cause not only it usurps its previous predecessor, but the fact that it's so insane that we tried to do this in the snow, that it took us 30 minutes to finish, but despite all that, the fact that how crazy it is with all of the vertical drops and leaps that you can do during this said track. And the only bit of warning that we have for you fans out there for this said track to avoid what happened with us is not to pick muscle cars. I mean, you could pick muscle cars, but you have to make sure the car is fast enough to make it up that steep incline before you hit the finish line. Because if you don't, you'll be like my friends Juju and J Meeks and me and get stuck on one part for a good 30 minutes. So choose your cars wisely. And with that, folks, for the first time this decade and year, wraps it up for another edition of the GTA Online Top 5 Tracks of the Month. And hopefully by later on tonight, folks, we will make a special playlist for the tracks of the month entitled Jump Food. Now, I'm not sure exactly when it will be made, but hopefully before the first of the month. And with that said, folks, we might as well head back to this music one more time. And when we return, we'll be back with the final segment for Under the Radar for this week, right after this. So don't change that channel just yet, folks, and stay tuned.